All right, now let me tell you why your calls don't sound like an elk. Now, how would I know this? Well, I am Lance Crowther of Timberland Outfitters, but at this point in time, I've been very blessed to be on 481 elk kills with either my own tag or guiding other people. A large majority of those elk kills have involved elk calls in one way or another. However, that's not where the experience comes from, because with those 481 elk kills, there has been 481,000 times that it went wrong. That's where the experience comes from. This is the experience that tells me that your elk calls do not sound like an elk. When I'm in the woods and I hear somebody blow on a cow elk call, 99.9% of the time, I can tell it's a person right away. That other 1% is because I didn't hear it clearly, and the next time they call, I know. When I hear somebody blowing a bugle in the woods, 95% of the time I can tell it's a person right away. That other 5% of the time, I think that is so bad, it has to be a bull with a wore out voice box, because no way a person would actually bugle that bad. Now, why can I tell it's a person so easy and not an elk? I'll tell you. And if you've never talked to me personally before, you've probably never heard of this or ever thought about it. Now you might be saying, I've called elk before. Why should I change what I'm doing? Well, I used to think the same thing. But after many elk, I've learned that there's always that one bull. You know, when a group of bulls head out on the town, there's always that one desperate bull that will run to any old cow elk that will give him attention. Those elk are usually the raghorns, young experienced elk. To consistently call in mature elk, bulls or cows, you need to be different. You need to be more than the average hunter. When it comes to your calling, ask yourself, where did you learn to call from? When I was a kid, I learned to call from old VHS videos. And I mean old. These guys were blowing on coiled gas flex. Some of them had pieces of latex glove wrapped around the end of a vacuum hose. Shortly after that, the industry started coming out with all kinds of different calls. Some of the calls came with their own instructional VHS video or a cassette tape. And then they started coming with DVDs. And now you can learn to call on YouTube. Maybe some of these are where you learn to call from. Or maybe you learn to call from a buddy. And that buddy learned from his buddy. And that buddy learned from a video. And the guy in the video learned from his buddy. You see what I'm saying? If you take a population of people and you isolate them from the rest of the population, over time they will develop their own accent in the way they talk. This same thing has happened with elk calling. Hunters' calls have developed a human accent. They have this accent because calls have been passed down from human to human instead of learning from the elk themselves. We often forget to really pay attention. When a hunter is on a hunt and they actually hear a real elk in the woods, they're usually too excited to notice that their calls don't sound like the elk, nor are they saying the same thing as the elk. I'm not going to tell you here how to make those proper elk sounds or what to say with those proper sounds. That would contradict the whole point of this video. What you need to do is get out and listen to real life elk sounds. And if you can't do that, then Google it. YouTube is full of real elk sounds like the ones I'm showing you on this video. And I'm sure you've seen many of them, but now you'll watch and listen to them in a whole new light. And if your calls don't sound like theirs, you need to change. And hopefully you're not too tone deaf. Now, get out there and remember, if you want to kill extraordinary animals, you need to be ready, willing, and able to do extraordinary things.